Hi, sparklers. This is Amy. I had a few audio issues in this episode where my mic cut in and out. I am working to correct this on future episodes. Thanks for listening and for all of your support.
So let's just do it.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, hello. Welcome to episode 6.
I can't believe it.
I know. I am super duper excited. Today Melanie and I are going to talk with you about our experience last weekend. We went to see the Spark Show live in
Spark Show last Saturday night. There was a Spark Show.
It was really, really, it was so good. And so obviously we both have a lot of opinions and things we want to share. I am still thinking about it. It was just a really darn good show.
I have to say, look, I've been fortunate enough to see them 3 times on this tour. I might have thought to myself, can I go to Helsinki? Can I go to Lithuania? How much would flights from LA to Lithuania? Wouldn't it be nice to bookend first show, last show? Yes, it would.
Yeah, last time we talked, you were talking about going, could I make the show in Lithuania?
Well, that's their last gig. It would be so fun. It really would be, but
you never know. Let's not count it out.
Don't count it out. Special Sparks and Sparkles goes international, live in Vilnius.
That's awesome. Well, it was just wonderful. Let's get to our sparkles today.
Okay.
I know you had to do a last minute dash out.
Yes, this entire week has been completely insane. So I just ran around the corner. I live around the corner from a co-op, so everything you get there is, it's a little bit different from what you might get in the normal shop. So today I have a prosecco called Canah Perlage.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what that means.
Is it an L or an I?
I think it's an L. It looks like an L.
What?
It's a brute. Oh, and it's brute. It's a superiore. So let's crack that baby open.
Crack it open. So here's what I have to drink today. I'm going to show it to you.
Bubbles. Ooh, Oregon. They are just sorry, excuse me, Oregon. Forgive me, listeners in Oregon. I know it's Oregon, not a god. Because I spent it
West
is.
Coast.
Yeah.
Not on the West Coast.
The reason I know, of course, is because I spent a summer selling books door to door just outside of Portland. Don't recommend it. That's a long and very interesting story, but we will save it for a different time. Let's just say.
And it was a different time in the world back when people purchased books.
Yes. We were selling study guides. They weren't encyclopedias. They were study guides. Totally not at all encyclopedias.
Well, and I'm excited to try this. I don't know how it'll be. I'm gonna crack open the top.
The top. That's the word you're looking for. I'm gonna open this. Let's see if it opens easily. Fucking better. It better, baby.
I decided today to just upgrade to a regular wine glass because those other glasses are so small.
Hey! But you can feel like you're not drinking that much. You can feel. Why are champagne glasses?
I wouldn't want to feel that way.
Good point. Why are champagne glasses smaller? This is a question that I would like answered, listeners. If you know, write us at Sparks and Sparkles headquarters. We'd love to know.
I have to say, oh, look, oh.
My cup runneth over, is what I think.
Yeah, this is pretty tasty. It's a little sweet like a prosecco, but it's not bad. And of course, Would you
Bottle
like to
cap?
smell the cap?
Yes, those of you who might be familiar with the wonderful 1979 Muppet movie will remember Steve Martin. Would you like to smell the bottle cap?
Oh, could we get some straws? I thought so.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Morty, what do you got?
Oh,
Commercial.
so good.
Come
Oh
on,
man, we should
take
just
it.
do an episode about the Muppet movie. It is such a wonderful. Every moment is wonderful for me.
I agree. I agree. Well, this is quite nice, actually. I had a feeling it might be. You know, the co-op does some pretty good stuff. If you're ever in Santa Monica and you
it's a
want, sorry, go ahead.
prosecco from. Is it from Italy or from?
It's from Italy.
Italy.
Did I ever tell you about the time I was in Italy with my wonderful friend Joe, and we drank like 6 bottles of prosecco over the course of a fantastic evening? I have to say, it was a long time we hadn't seen each other for many months. But
I just love how many of your stories end up with that. And then we drank a lot of sparkling wine.
Well, there's a reason I really wanted to do this podcast. Around bottle 3, we realized we were running low. I, of course, volunteered to go up the prosecco stocks, and I don't speak any Italian at all. So my dad quite sweetly thinks I can speak like 7 languages. This is completely untrue, but my mother's actually stopped correcting him, which I'm kind of okay. It's good to have that rep. Anyway,
Voglio prosecco.
I went into this deli. Amazingly, it was not my fault. I want to be very clear on this. An entire bottle of tomato sauce broke while I was in the shop and landed on my shoes. It was kind of fun. I considered it a souvenir of Italy. But I was trying to explain myself because I also wanted to get some very tasty mozzarella and some, I think it's Parma ham, maybe. I just didn't know what to say. So the woman behind the counter, I just remember went, "Turisti," and I went, "Yes." That word I knew. That word I definitely knew. Turisti. See.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I bet she gave you some good shit.
She did. She did. The next day and the following day, the two of us drank like a half bottle of prosecco between the two of us. Like we really front loaded on that trip, but it was really fun.
Well, so I'm not wearing any sparkles today, but I am wearing the outfit that I wore to the Sparks concert, so I could feel like I was back there. How about you? What do you got on today?
I have a little bit of spark. I don't know if this really counts.
Sure.
But yeah, this is my sweat. Maybe I should be wearing it like this. It's very
that
Zelda
would be very
Fitzgerald.
cool.
But that's my sparkle for today.
Wait, so Melanie flew to Chicago last week, spent some time with her family, and then when you showed up at my house on Saturday and said, to quote, "I drank an heroic amount of wine last night."
I did.
And it was with your family, which was great.
Yes, there was lots of merrymaking. It was quite enjoyable. We are a very loud, festive crew, actually. So it was really enjoyable. I was a little bit subdued the following day, but I was still, in fine form. Oh, I just noticed this bottle has like a lovely, you probably can't see it, but it's got a lovely little bird. There's 2 little birds.
Yeah, it's like not embossed, the opposite of embossed.
Yeah, classy little bird.
Nice. That is classy. That's nice.
Classy. But yes, so I was not ready to throw down tons and tons of sparkles. I hope I wasn't a downer. I don't think I was.
No, not at all. I mean, we both took a disco nap, and then we decided that we were going to watch the movie Annette.
Yes.
Which we also want to talk about.
Woof, I'm so excited to talk about Annette with you.
Me too. It was, so we decided to pre-show watch Annette. Now, if I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't have made that choice, but it was very good. And yeah, like I don't even know where to start with this one.
Well, I almost think like, what was that?
I said it depressed the shit out of me.
Like all good movies by French directors might do.
I did feel impacted by it. So
I've
Nailed
thought
that.
about it a lot this week. The funny thing is it didn't depress me at all. Like I instantly loved it. I was like, this is great. This is so bizarre. Was it dark? Yeah, I would say definitely. It was rather in a
It
way.
is. I think in a pretty literal way.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But I
Okay.
think that's what actually caught me off guard. Like we were like ready for the show. We were,
Yes.
watch a movie on a Saturday afternoon, and it starts off, so maybe we start that opening scene is really fun and self-referential, and
Yes.
it definitely ends a good tune, of course,
Yes.
which they also opened the show with. But it just, I will say that opening scene is not reflective of the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Although I'm gonna go on a detour, but only for a minute. This week I've been a little obsessed with the song "Change" by Sparks. I don't know if you know this one.
It's not ringing a bell, but keep going.
It's on music that you can dance to, but it's sometimes replaced by, I want to say, Armies of the Night, and there's probably someone out there who's like, no, that's not it. But anyway, it's not on all versions of music that you can dance to, but I really like it. It's a song that, like, it kind of starts from a very, like, oh, the rain is falling down, but wait, there's a rainbow over the freeway. Anyway, my reason for mentioning that is because that song is, what, 36 years old now, and I was thinking about how far Sparks have come from the time they wrote that song to now. And my point is, Annette is, it's real cinema. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like that scene in Boogie Nights, if you've ever seen Boogie Nights, when Jack Horner's showing the first film, and he's like, and his director goes, this is a real film, Jack, it's a real film. And that is real, art, cinema. And so I feel like it is very Sparks, but it's also a different medium. So this kind of comes back to what you were expecting. I think Sparks brings a whimsy to a lot of what they do. They bring, again, so much joy, and I think that is actually in Annette, but it's coming out in a completely different way. And yes, there's a lot of darkness in that film too.
I kept there was part of me because so the first of all, spoiler alert. So the main character Henry is a stand-up comedian, and he's got a very I don't know how you would describe his set, his monologues. Very, it's interesting, but
White male, straight white male. That's how I describe. No, it's creative. I mean, it's definitely creative and arty. I love that he's called the ape of God. That's so Sparksian.
So it as the movie progresses, you're kind of thinking beginning of act two, where things start to devolve. He's getting a lot of pushback from the audience, and people are booing him, and he goes on this like attack to the audience, like, I want to like murder the audience. And I just kept thinking, that old meme that was kitten thinks of nothing but murder. That's what I feel like that. Like, I felt like that scene was kind of what's really going on inside Ron Mal's head.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Sometimes, but he's willing to like share that and
Yes.
share that. Really
open the heart.
dark.
Here it is.
Yep. Yeah. So I just was like, Ron Miles thinks of nothing but murder.
That's the tagline from this episode. We love Sparks, and also Ron Mail thinks of nothing but murder. We know it. That's actually, I know that's not true.
Of course.
And, I'm glad you said that, because what do they say? And so may we start. If you want us to kill, we may agree. So, Exhibit A, male brothers.
Well, and also like they have performed and created for so long and have had such different points in their career. Like, everybody, all of us want to tell somebody to shut the fuck up.
Yes. And you have performed on stage. I've performed on stage, and also as a teacher. Like, you are, when you perform for a group in any way, whatever you're doing. You know, sometimes that's a really wonderful experience and you really just feel this joy and love and it's amazing. And other times, I remember once when I was teaching in London, one of my colleagues came back into the staff room and said, you know, those fuckers better get their shit together or I am gonna lose it. Sometimes you just really get annoyed
Yeah.
with the group that you're working with because you're not getting anything from them. They seem hostile. I personally think it always comes from you and your frame of mind. And sometimes you just have off nights. But yeah, there probably have been nights when they've got off stage and thought, good
Yeah.
morning.
And I think, even us, we're have this podcast, and we've said like the intention of this is not to like be the intention is to be critical, but in a good way, like critically think and share our feelings and how we feel impacted by something. And we enjoy that because we really enjoy the music. But when you're making the music, when you're making the piece of art or making the film, sometimes you just don't want to hear it. Like most of us at our job, we just don't want to hear it that somebody didn't like how we did the presentation, or that we had a
Yes.
student who didn't, agree with something. And so I think about that, like, yeah, no, I would think about murdering the audience every once in a while too. It must be quite a relief.
I've been a little bit also obsessed with We Love Each Other So Much by Annette. That is seeping into my brain. I'm starting to decide that might be one of the best songs Sparks has ever written. It's just so
It
beautiful.
is amazing. Yeah, I agree with that. And they performed it as well.
Yes,
And that was
Russell
beautiful.
sang it, and it was.
It's a beautiful song. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
But the other one, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No.
The other one I've been listening to a lot from Annette is actually Henry McHenry's Hating the Audience song.
Yeah, it's so good.
Shout, do you think I care? Which, it's, yeah, look, I did this for you. Do you think I care? I don't care. Fuck you.
Yeah, it hit a lot of notes. And I kept thinking this week, like, do I like this movie? Like, do I like it? But I will say, I don't know, but I definitely, it was a movie I thought of afterwards. And there were moments during the movie that I got really excited about some stuff. So like, I will say, before I forget, I don't want to forget to say this, but I think his name is Adam Helberg. He is the actor who played the composer, the conductor.
Yes, the conductor.
I thought his performance was fucking outstanding. I have to say,
great.
I thought it was so good. There is a scene in it in which he's conducting, and there's the camera is going around him, and he's speaking a monologue in which he starts crying during the monologue, but he's still conducting. And I was so blown away by that, because I think I turned to you and said, like, hey, that guy actually knows how to conduct. Because so often in movies you see actors who have studied maybe the conducting movements, but it just isn't, as a musician, it's just not real. But the way he conducted, I could tell he's a trained musician, because the way he conducted is how a conductor conducts, meaning that he's physically conveying certain things to the musicians, certain points to come in and certain places to be more legato, versus punching up. And I think that unless you're unless you've had to do it or been in that environment, it's really hard to act like a conductor. But he just was, because he was really conducting and then just giving this amazing monologue. I was blown away by his performance.
And my question is, who was the stickler who, because he is an actor, I believe he was on The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. Yep.
Who was the stickler who was like, you're going to have to learn how to conduct? Or maybe it was him. Maybe he wanted
I
to.
I think he's a musician. I don't think that there was a learning for this film. I think I don't know anything about the guy. I probably should have researched before I mentioned it, but that didn't look like, that looked like he actually knew what he was doing. Because even So May We Start, I think he pulls out some drumsticks and he's actually like kind of drumming correctly. Not like if I were to drum,
Maybe that's how he got the role. But from what I
Yeah,
know about acting, you know, I am not personally an actor, but I know some professional actors, and it is true that, you know, if they take on a certain role, sometimes they get the role because of some of the skills they have, or they are willing to go out and
oh
learn
sure,
something that they're going to then bring into the audience. That's an
absolutely.
interesting question. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I just thought he was great. I thought all the performances were very strong. I really did. How about you? Like, what do you like this movie?
Oh yeah, I love it. I definitely want to see it again. I mean, the
Me
thing
too.
is, I am a I'm a film geek. I really love going to the cinema. I just love the whole experience. Actually, when I was at university, up until my final semester, I was undecided whether I was going to have a film major or communication studies. It was just the track at our university, and I love to this day going to see different films. I thought to myself, because of course we were watching it in a living room on a smaller screen. I thought to myself, man, I would love to see this in a cinema.
Yeah,
I think the experience would be just amazing because it is so visually beautiful. Um, I do like it. I actually really love the weirdness of it. You know,
yeah.
like
Though interesting, you know. Yes. Sorry, please go ahead. I apologize.
no, I mean that's just what I would say. It is kind of it feels to me like, well done, boys. I'm so proud of you. You know, like I know they love film. They obviously, we all know UCLA film. They spent some time there. They tried to do their stuff with Jacques Tati. Um, so, and of course, My the Psychic Girl, which, you know, I'm going to tell you, I think they're still trying to make that happen. I know it's been 30 years into development hell, but I really think they're still trying to make it happen. Let's
If
just
anyone can,
saying, just
Mayo
saying, I
Brothers
don't think
can.
they've given up on it completely. And fingers crossed. But it was unique.
Mhm.
It was interesting. It was a powerful story. Um, I didn't like Adam Driver's character, of course, but you know, that's fine. You don't have to like every character in a film. I
I
do
mean,
love the absolute bonkersness and creativity of having a wooden marionette play the child for most of the film. That actually I found to be quite brilliant.
and really well, so well done. It was
Yes.
impactful. It was really impactful, and I thought so interesting too because yeah, you can do a lot of different things with a not live baby.
Yes. Oh, well, Leo Carax is an interesting guy. He's a French director. He's the guy who's on When You're a French Director on Hippopotamus with Sparks. He allegedly is a longtime Sparks fan who once upon a time when he was a broke young person shoplifted a copy of Indiscreet. He caught Sparks' attention. I, I don't know if this was before or after because I don't have all my dates. But for his film Holy Motors, which I really would like to see, he used How You're Getting Home in part of that movie. So I think, you know, once again, kind of like Edgar, there's a connection in the Sparks verse with Leo Carax.
There were a couple of things that I think impacted me the most. And the first is like the dark piece. And I really did feel very impacted by watching Adam Driver's character, sorry,
Driver,
Driver.
hardest working man in showbiz. He's been in tons of stuff in the past couple of years.
Great performance. I mean, again, other performances are
Great.
wonderful. But I will say, like, one of the things that really impacted me about the performance is it is such a it's very, I mean, operatic, like a doomed lovers story, but kind of like with Carmen or some other shows or some other classical opera narratives, the being doomed was a result of his actions, and that spoiler alert, I mean, he you see this character who is quite loving and charming and loves this, you know, woman and loves his child, but it starts to hit some challenges in his career, and the alcohol become like it was just, I don't know, it really hit me to see kind of hit a little close to home, that a character who is loving, but yet when they get drunk, they get violent. And to me, it was very much artistically done. And the scene on the boat, it's very theatrical. It looks like you're sitting in a theater. Like, I loved that it purposely didn't make it look too real. They were trying, it was very, when I say theatrical, I mean like live theater. But it made me really sad. It made me really sad to see this character whose violence was nothing but a result of alcohol. Not nothing, but a big result of alcohol. And you see his character kind of devolve into a bit of a monster.
Yes,
I think.
Definitely you do. And you could really, if we wanted to go out arty, and once again, I feel like I need to see it again and really get down and dirty on it. But you can see that right at the beginning of the film, because Marianne Cotillard's character, our first shot of her is she's drinking water and eating an apple. Like, she's clearly kind of like a healthy, pure person. Then of course she's doing opera, which, I'm not a big opera fan. Sorry, Ron. You might convince me. I really enjoyed Annette. So, maybe one day, and I do like some opera, but I feel like opera itself is it's almost ethereal and otherworldly. So she's got this quality of already being kind of not of this world, which Annette does too. Where Henry, he's the ape, right? It's almost like the id and the super ego. So I feel like her character ascends to some extent. She becomes an angel, and then Henry just becomes this devil. He just devolves and becomes worse and worse. So yes, I see that, and I do understand why it hit close to home as I have a drink. Although I've never been violent as a drink.
I've never killed my wife on a boat.
I've never killed my wife on a boat.
We didn't kill her. He just was
just dancing. We were just dancing. All right.
His actions ended her life. Well, so a couple of things. Speaking of the opera piece, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. First of all, I thought that the singer that they had doing the classical singing parts sounded amazing, beautiful, beautiful. And I would really love it if Ron Meyer would just write an opera, please, because it's really hard to have lyrical, beautiful. Modern operas typically aren't lyrical and beautiful, and I think the world needs that. So please.
How do we know he hasn't written 50 of them that he doesn't think are good enough? We don't.
Good point. I think it's good enough. So I really loved that part of the music. I thought there were some really lovely moments, like when she's on stage and she's got that like white sort of nightgown shift kind of thing.
Yes.
And you see her and she turns around, and rather than her looking when she turns around and go like starts singing upstage to Melanie, I was like, she wouldn't be singing upstage, she needs to get downstage. You can't hear her, she's upstage. But then it kind of has her walking out of the stage and into an actual real forest, which I thought was really beautiful. And then she turns around and sees the audience again, and I really loved that. And I also loved there's a scene where I think she's like driving, I can't remember if it's like she's driving or he's driving, and they kind of have this montage of pictures of her playing different characters, operatic characters.
Yes.
And I pointed this out to Melanie. I said, they're all characters who die. They're all women who die at the end of the opera. And so I think, I was just, let me look at my notes because I jotted it down. I think you see her getting like her as Carmen, who Carmen is stabbed by her lover. You see her, I think as Violetta. It could have been me, but I think Violetta with consumption, she's spitting up blood. You see her as Madame Butterfly doing the seppuku, the honorable killing of oneself. And so I read a book in college called Opera and the Undoing of Women, and it really did, it was written in the 70s, but we really did kind of highlight and talk about this narrative of women in dramatic operas having to die at the end. Typically they're not squeaky clean women, there are Mimi was a seamstress, or Violetta was a courtesan, or it's really broad, but I thought that was a very interesting parallel, that they highlighted those characters who die for the sake of the drama, and really had this character who dies for the sake of the drama as well. So I found that just really, really interesting. So you see her, the Anne character, first in his first opera, but then you like her career is building, and you see her in like different costumes then.
Yes.
What I liked then was the parallel between the Annette in her first performance, live performance. She's wearing like a little white like nightgown, and I loved that it was like a parallel between what the mother's costumes were and then this child's costumes, because you see them go through a similar color scheme. I think they go through a blue dress, and then the baby was a red dress. I thought that was all really, really neat. And I guess that brings it, for me, this brings me to, what do I think the point of the movie was for me? And I guess for me, the point was that Annette is breaking free of this cycle, breaking free of the cycle of dying. I mean, she's a child, of course. She's a child, and the movie ends, she's still a child. Of course, I kept thinking like, oh my God, this kid needs so much therapy. But
no shit.
For me, this was the part that I kept trying to think, like, what are they trying to say? I get the parallel with the heroines in opera and death and having to die, but what does this mean for this child? Does it mean like this next generation, and as we evolve and go past Me Too and blah, 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 that we are starting to lift that weight on women? I don't know. Some thoughts. Just
interesting.
buzzing around in my brain.
I feel like, once again, because we were watching it before the show, I want to watch that ending again. It was a very powerful ending, but I just know I did not get the full impact of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're saying, like, he's saying, like, why can't I just love you? And she rejects his love. Like, to me, that's why I was saying is I think the message for me is that it's finally a woman who is rejecting love from someone who's done harm and saying, no, you can't love me. I don't love you. You can't love me. I don't know.
I also, it's funny you say that, because I do really love that Super Bowl scene. It's just like so twisted and weird. You've got, it's the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, that's how he ends up in jail. Like, they're gonna do one final.
I had to leave the room and put on this dress, but I had to leave the room because I was really depressed.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It didn't depress me at all. I can totally see why it depressed you. I'm really fine watching something that's quite dark most of the time. And also, to me, it seems so staged. It seems so obviously not real. It was very easy for me to be able to watch it and enjoy it and see that this wasn't going to end well for anyone, which I kind of knew based on We Love Each Other So Much on its own.
I know. I was like, oh, it's a montage of a bunch of operatic characters dying. Is that foreshadowing?
What's going to happen?
But interestingly, I felt like the movie got more and more realistic. The realism became more and more true throughout the movie. By the end, you have this jailhouse scene. The puppet, spoiler, becomes real. Adam Driver his character is sort of lost everything. You're in a jailhouse. It's really dim. God damn it. The more I think about this movie, the more I think it's pretty amazing.
There's a Disney movie that recently came out called Turning Orange. Have you heard of it? No. I think it's called Turning Orange. It's really good. If you have Disney Plus, I really recommend it. It's about a young girl whose family, the women in the family, turn into orange pandas. It's around puberty time is what I will tell you. It has had a lot of controversy, but what I will tell you is
you mean when they start menstruating?
Yes, which the script was written by women, and she does get her first period and has an embarrassing mom bringing her pads to school moment. I think it's adorable, but the reason I bring it up is because when I was in Chicago, my mom started telling me about it because apparently she had shown it to she'd watched it with my nieces and nephews who are 7 and 8. And she was clearly, here's what was interesting about that. She was clearly feeling like she might have somehow traumatized them or shown them something that was somehow inappropriate. But she kept talking about it. She kept talking about it. She was clearly thinking about it. She'd looked it up. She'd read about it. And I pointed that out because I believe that's what great art does. Great art
It does.
gets under your skin. You think about it. Your first reaction might not be positive, but it stays with you. You're thinking about it. And honestly, many artists, they don't care. They just want you to have a reaction of some type. So I watched it with her because she wanted me to watch it. So again, and I said, actually, I think this is charming. I think it's really nice. But the reason I bring it up is because what you're saying kind of reminds me of that. Like when she initially told me about it, clearly was very negative about this film. I think she's still not like its number one fan, but watching it again with me, she did say, okay, yeah, I guess it's all right as a movie. So I think that's what good storytelling does. I think it will provoke a reaction from you. It's not always a positive reaction, but if it stays with you and you're thinking about it, it has done something.
Absolutely. Well, this movie did it. Now, then we washed away. We washed it away. We got ready for the Sparks concert. Drum roll. Oh, it was so fucking good.
It was great. It was great.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. What were some of your favorite moments about the show in Chicago?
You know, one of the things that was really amazing to me was that I actually thought the band sounded better than they did in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And that is really saying something. You know, after the show, as you know, I texted my husband to say I thought they were really good. My favorite show that I've seen so far still is February 8th. That probably just was because I was so close and I was able to dance. Yeah. But when I texted that to my husband, he wrote back, "Oh, so I saw the shit performance." And I was like, okay, this is like, can Sparks have a shit performance? Of course, any band can, but guess what? We're probably not going to see it. They will, you know, they're such perfectionists and they're such professionals and they're such veterans that I don't think they're going to perform at all if they do not think they're ready to perform. I think they would, if they could, if they could without losing money, mind you, they will postpone the date.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, because we came home and we were watching videos and I was like, I'm going to see a bunch of 70s live shows. And so one of the things I thought was amazing, watching Russell Metal perform was fantastic. And he has that very rare ability, I think, to always be in the moment, in the character, in the lyric. You know, I believe him when he's saying and singing even kind of ridiculous stuff. He is in the moment of performance. I never feel like he's checking out. I never feel like he's thinking about like, all right, 10 more minutes and then we're going to go back to the hotel and eat, I don't know, salad. I don't know what they eat. I never feel that. I always feel like it's really in the performance, and I felt that on that show.
Yeah, you know, here's something I'm really curious about, and I would love to hear from performers who have gone on tour because they have a very clear set list. They're doing the same set list every night. What's it like to do the exact same songs again and again, night after night for a period of time? Is it enjoyable?
Well, let me tell you about,
is it boring? I don't know.
When I did 30 performances of Pirates of Penzance at the Ingersoll Dinner Theater when I was 7. Obviously, I've never been on tour, but I have done, you know, shows. And I think if you really know the material, then I always felt like I was looking for that nuance. Could I do this a little bit better? Could I hang that a little bit more? Is this my foot's falling asleep? So maybe but sometimes you're just thinking then of logistical stuff like my foot's falling asleep, or I really need water or whatever. But I think a really good performer is constantly trying to think in that moment, how am I sounding? Am I listening? Do I hear? Am I emoting? Do I feel the emotion back from you're in the moment, but when you do it over and over again, yeah, you do often check out. I got to go to the grocery store.
Well,
yeah, I can't forget to pick up wine or milk. I mean, you do think that stuff, but I never get that sense from him for sure.
Well, also they're writing their, these are songs that they've written that are meaningful for them.
But they've also performed them for like 30 years. I mean, that's
true.
also bonkers.
That's
but
true.
When you said veteran, that's the other thing. They have been performing together for so long. They've been performing music since they were in their 20s. And that just experience, boy, oh boy, oh boy, it is exciting to see.
The one thing I would say, it's not the same thing, but it's similar. I have certainly performed the same thing repeatedly. And you would think it would be boring, but it isn't, because every time you do it, the people you're doing it for, they're different. The day's different, the arena's different. And also, as you said, you are just picking up little things like, oh, you know what? I'm going to try this time, or I'm going to do that. And it's interesting that you said that, because one of the things that really struck me is I feel like Russell's voice somehow, again, how the fuck does he do it? His voice sounded better. It's almost like his voice got younger. And when I say that, he sounded amazing. They all sounded incredible in Los Angeles. I did think to myself when I saw that the LA dates were February 7th and 8th, and then the tour itself started March 11th. My instant thought was, okay, these guys are perfectionists. They're going to do their gigs in LA. That's a very friendly audience. They're hometown boys, which it was. Everybody was, all of their audiences are like that now, but definitely in LA, there was a yay, Sparks, LA boys sort of attitude. So it's a very friendly crowd to go do that too. Then you can finish and you can take a month and say, okay, we like this, we didn't like this, because they did cut amateur hour. And I have seen, as the tour has gone on, amateur hour has come back and then it's gone off. I'm like guessing it has to do with times, and maybe it's harder to sing or play. I don't know. It's a shame because I love it, but hey, you had to make a choice. You made your choice. Fine. I don't know what I would cut if I were them. I wouldn't cut anything. I would add songs, please.
I think I would cut Under the Table with Her. Even though I love that song, I was really surprised by that choice from Indiscreet. I just was surprised by it. But great. It was wonderful. It was a pleasure to watch. Again, like that, he's good at playing characters, and that's an impish kind of character in that song.
Sorry, go ahead.
What I was going to say is, look, Ron Mael, obviously huge following and fan base, and I have so much respect for him, and I really enjoy watching him perform. But I do feel like sometimes we don't give Russell the cred, and he was the show. He really was. I mean, in many ways. Obviously, I have more thoughts about the lighting and all the cool performance, and I definitely want to hear about some of your favorite moments as well. But boy, that guy was fucking amazing. I just can't.
I think they're both geniuses. I know everybody thinks Ron is a genius, and he is. Obviously, he is. But I actually think Russell is too. I mean, they have something so special because they are different. Clearly, to me, one of the things I find amusing and endearing is that Russell will always have some bright colors on him. I understand, because if you look at the stage setup, the entire band is in black.
Yeah, and
Ron is all in black.
Yeah.
And then Russell is in black and something bright. Now I get that because he's the lead singer. We want our eye to go to him, but I also do think that's Russell. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude wore a sequin suit for part of the 80s.
you're right. And in Los Angeles, he wore this, I think it was the first night. At the end of the show, he put on this blazer that was this very bright floral blazer. And I feel like that's just so them. Russell is extroverted in this way. You know, he wants to be seen in this way. I think they both do, but in very different ways. Ron is the man in black. He really likes to have that role.
Yeah.
But they work so well together. It's such, we are so lucky. We are just as lucky as they are. Like, I know that they feel very happy to be working together. I'm sure I mean, like any set of siblings, they have their moments, I have no doubt. But they have such a symbiotic relationship. And don't forget, all of those songs that we love, the process of how they do those songs, Ron is writing those songs. He said, this is from what I understand, he's writing those songs, he's sending them to Russell. Russell saying, yeah, that's a good one, or no, forget that one. So he's very involved in the process as well. It's not just Ron. And then, yes, what Russell can do with his voice is incredible. It has always been incredible, but it is even more astounding for someone who's in his early 70s. And not only that, but as I said, bouncing around that stage like nobody's business. I mean, who got a bigger workout at that show, me or Russell? Definitely Russell.
You know, I'm glad that you mentioned the stage setup, and what I really loved about it is it was simple but yet visually very effective.
Yes.
So for folks who've seen the pictures, you've got the band on like kind of a riser platform in the back, but they're fairly shadowed. They're all wearing black, and there were a number of times where if they weren't playing their instrument, they would put the instrument down and they would actually stand with their hands behind their back as sort of a parade rest or whatever, and like let the focus really be on the spar, the Mile Brothers. And I thought it was really effective. But what I also loved about that is they used a lot of washes of color with the lighting. The lighting was great. And I know that sounds like such a nerdy thing to love, but it was just so well done. They used a lot of like solid color schemes, and they did a lot of like dark flash in sync with the music, and it was really effective. Like, I felt very affected by the sounds and the visual that I was seeing. Everybody except for the spotlight. The poor spotlight person was like, he's moving too much, I don't know where.
He's bouncing. What can I do? That was actually also a really beautiful venue to see a show.
Yeah.
It's clearly I'm not sure what that was used for in the past, but it had the vibe of one of those old cinemas, because in the 1920s, when a lot of cinemas went up, many of them had these really like elaborate ceilings where they had these starry ceilings and all of these weird motifs. There's actually, in my hometown, it's now a theater, but it was a cinema for a really long time, and it's one of those beautiful old theaters, which clearly this was. So it was a smallish venue. So although I would have loved to have been closer, there still was really that intimate feeling. You really felt like you were a part of the show, and that was just great.
Yeah, it's the Copernicus Center, which is actually like less than a mile from my house, which rocked. And I was surprised because I always see like events at the Copernicus Center, but I didn't realize that the theater itself was so well done. It's like an 1,800 seat arena, and it's got a balcony section, and I did really love that. They acknowledged the balcony and really trying to get the house lights up so they could see the balcony. That was so wonderfully endearing. So what were some of your favorite moments? Oh,
Well, there is one thing I wanted to say about Under the Table with her. I see what you're saying about, hey, maybe I would get rid of that one. But again, I think this is the Sparks Brothers tour. So they're really hitting some of the songs
I see.
that had moments in the Sparks Brothers documentary. One thing I thought was quite interesting about that, in Los Angeles, they had an actual cello doing the string part, but in Chicago, Ron was doing it on his keyboard, and I actually love the way that sounded. Quite frankly, that was to me quite interesting to hear the difference in the way it sounded.
Yeah, the volume on his keyboards actually was quite high, and they really did feature his keyboard solos quite a bit, because they also have, like, I think, a keyboardist in the band. And I think that guy was actually singing a lot of the higher falsetto parts. So, all those high notes, I don't know that Russell was hitting all of them, because often they're in chords or parts. But I really thought that the way that the keyboardist voice hitting the high notes and then Russell's voice hitting the next highest note blended really beautifully together, to the point it was like, wait, who sang that high note? It was really, really well done. The band was great. And we were saying before, like, This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us was the last song before the encore.
Yes.
And it sounded like the recording. It was incredible.
I know.
Incredible.
Did you know that they have sold This Town to Apple for some iPad commercials? Did you know that?
You mean not to us for our staged performance?
Well, I have a feeling that Apple paid them a bit more money than to pay them at this time. Less than a year. It's funny because I'm actually really happy for them. Like, I feel like, yay, get that. Oh my God. Go for it.
Selling a song to Apple is like, we know Fife, we know, I can't even remember who else. Like, that is one of the best highlighted, whatever, what I'm saying.
Again, I feel like that song is like their golden goose forever. Like, it has done so much for them. It must just be amazing thinking about writing this one song, probably in 1972 or 73, or even 71 or 70. And that song still propelling you forward in 2022.
Yeah.
That is just phenomenal. And that's why you should do art, kids. People say it doesn't pay, but clearly it can and does.
You just have to work for 40 years.
You just have to work for 40 years. Hope
or
that,
perhaps die.
Perhaps die. Do puppet show and Sparks, whatever it takes.
Puppet shows.
Get dropped by your label. Have them refuse to do videos for you. Eventually befriend or find out that a director is a super fan of yours, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, but I was thinking about the fact I feel really happy for them for that. Like, get that Apple money. Go for it.
Yeah. Oh God, they deserve it.
But it's so funny because that's such a turnaround from the days when, like, a song would be sold and everyone would be like, oh, how dare you sell out like that? But you know what? Fuck it. They have to make money somehow. And also, they're very good. It's kind of like, I believe the Beatles deserve all of their money for Abbey Road alone. The Sparks deserve whatever amount of money they have, double it, triple it. They deserve all of it, because I think maybe this is just being a Sparks fan. I don't know. I think one day people will truly, like, they will go down in history as one of the finest bands of all time. Whether they have that full cred now or later, at least I hope so. That's what I hope. Maybe that's
me too. I was thinking about this. So a couple of them, one of the things that really struck me that I enjoyed as an audience member, and also like looking at other audience members, is that I feel like people who really love their music have a very personal connection to different songs or things that they find interesting in the songs, in a way that most other rock bands just don't quite, I think, have that. like analytical, intellectual, like drive to love the music. And so when we were at the concert, I mean, there wasn't a lot of dancing. I wish there were more, but
Me
a
too.
lot of people were sitting. But there were points where I would look across, like, look around the audience, and like there would maybe be just one dude, like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just thought, like, he must be thrilled. He loves his music. Hearing him live, he's just so in the moment. That's probably a person who doesn't normally go, yeah, but they did. And like I was saying to you when we were on the way back, there was the couple in front of us, and they did stand up and dance a little bit, but the gentleman was a little more reserved. And I think it was just Tony big enough for both of us. I don't remember what part, but there was a part where I watched him, and there were two really heavy drum hits, and he was just like, and I was like, I could tell he was just so in the moment. And so like that was like one of his favorite things that he's probably always loved about the song. And he just was in the moment. And that is a really, ladies and gentlemen, that's a rare thing.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's a wonderful thing.
That's a wonderful thing. So I really love that. What were some of your other favorite parts?
You know, one thing that was interesting to me when I was in LA, probably because I didn't know what the set list would be, and then this time I had a pretty good idea of what would be on the set list. The 80s songs were the songs I was most excited about. Like honestly, when they played Tips for Teens, I could not
so good.
have been more excited. Yes, and I still like just love those songs, and I really love. One thing I love that they did during I Predict was they really kept us waiting. They really built the tension before they went, and somebody's gonna die. Because to me, that is certainly a very fun line to shout out. So those were great. Again, I had so much fun with them, but I actually found that I enjoyed more of the stuff from the later catalog more this time, probably because in my Sparks listening journey, I finally listened to all of their albums. So I had been listening more to some of their later albums, whereas when I went to the shows in February, I was still kind of more into the 80s albums. So I really enjoyed Stravinsky's Only Hit. I thought that was really good.
Well done.
And actually, Lawnmower, I enjoyed a lot. I did not like it very much when I saw it in LA because it's very, well, oh, what a surprise. A Sparks song is very repetitive. But I think Lawnmower. But because I had listened to it, I had listened to Steady Drip 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 much more by the time I saw the show. I enjoyed all of those later songs more. I have to say my number one favorite moment, once again, was music that you can dance to. You know, it's so funny to me. First of all, I'm definitely that demographic. I'm in the era. I was 13 in 1986 when that song came out, so it completely appeals to me. But I feel like it's too bad that got so much crap because it is really a banger. And it did get people up. That was one that did get people up. They got up and they were dancing. That was something I noticed. This crowd danced a lot less than the Los Angeles crowd. I don't know if that was a Midwestern thing. I don't know if that was a Copernicus Center thing. I don't know if that was just a Saturday, March 19th thing. It could have been anything. But that was one of the best moments in all of the LA shows. It was one of the best moments. I don't know. I think that song is just, it feels so joyful when I hear it. Maybe that's not how Ron Mail felt when he wrote it. Every note's where it ought to be, so fuck off, you know. But that was just so much fun.
That was really fun. That. Like, woo! I feel that my outfit is very Rhythm Thief.
Rhythm Thief was fantastic.
That was one of the memorable moments for me. Now, I remember in the documentary, I think it was Fred Armistead who said, I think he said like watching All I Do Is Dick Around live is like a religious experience.
thought it was home, but
Maybe it must have been home. Okay.
correct
So
us, fans. I think it was home, but go ahead and drop it in the comments or email us or whatever.
because of that, like that soulful repetition. And I do feel like I felt that with Rhythm Thief. It has this wonderful like ebb and flow, and some people were kind of singing and dancing and were swaying in their seats. It was
Yes.
I really enjoyed that. I think the moment that made me laugh the most was when Ron Mile does his dance bit. And it was just
love the Ron dance.
really, I'm interested to talk about this for you. But what I made me chuckle was in in the audience, you could just see a sea of cell phones all like
yes.
The first word that came to my head was videotaping. I know they're not videotaping, but they were recording. It was just like a sea of like, you could just see a sea of cell phones.
Well, as soon as the show started, you saw a lot of that. They must see that every single night. Cell phone.
I felt like I saw like everybody pulled out their phone when Ron was dancing. Like they want to get that bit on video.
Yes. Yeah. What was I going to say? Think about the fact that this man is 75, 76. Like he's not 25, and he's doing a dance which I'm going to say looks a bit intense. That is some high impact aerobics, and he's got a big smile on his face when he's doing it. Like, I know that's part of the thing, but he does actually look like he's genuinely enjoying it.
Really?
Too. I think so.
I had a different feeling about it. I feel like he's doing it because it's a bit that the audience loves. And I didn't, this kind of, who knows, like maybe I had to pee, who knows what, like you said, like it's also personal. I felt like that was a moment where I just felt like you had to have had this like, I gotta get up and do the bit now. People love it. And hey, that's okay. And with any other band, I probably wouldn't have even thought that, other than these are such consummate, whatever, I've had a lot of wine.
Consummate professionals, I believe is what you're looking for, Amy.
But there's just this like honest artists that any little like, I'm not in the moment, I'm not in the artistic moment, is could be slightly distracting. But
you know what? I don't think they'd do it if they didn't want to do it.
That's
what do they do that they don't want to do? I mean,
I'm
just saying.
I know, good for them.
I feel like they'd cut it if they didn't want to do it. What was that?
How many of us can say that about our lives?
Well, again, take 40 plus years and be just like stubborn minded that you're gonna do this shit whether people like it or they don't.
I will murder this whole audience.
I will murder this whole audience.
To be true.
I'm just gonna say, I've seen some up close photos of him doing that dance. He looks genuinely like he's enjoying it.
I hope so.
But who knows, Ron? If you'd like to tell us, I live in LA. After the show, after you're done on the tour, we can go down to Earth Cafe here in Santa Monica. We can go hit Farmers Market. You can tell me in person. I'm ready. Not a joke. Anyway.
It was a wonderful pleasure. And Melanie, I'm so thrilled that you came to Chicago to see it. I mean, you and I were the crazy one. Like, I remember we were watching the documentary and then watching some videos, and we were like, we gotta buy tickets. And so we bought the Chicago tickets.
You did it. That was a magical day. That was the day we came up with the idea for the podcast as well.
That's right.
That was a magical, charmed day, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was fun. And my husband Joe came with us. He was sitting separately. He was actually sitting a little closer than we were.
He was sitting in the husband section.
He was sitting in the section of dudes going like this.
He was sitting in the dude.
But he, again, he's not as crazy of a Sparks fan as we are, though he really does like Sparks. And he too said, he was like, it was like from just a performance standpoint, it was really, really cool to watch and to see and to be in, like feel this involvement with the music. It was really great.
I feel like I'm so happy that I discovered Sparks as a as a band. They've brought me so much joy. We've had so much fun discussing them. It's such a pleasure to get to be able to see them do their craft online. And they, that
It was,
documentary inspired me hugely, but they also inspire me hugely because they are still doing what they've been doing for a really long time. And actually, there's a clip on YouTube. They were on the Gilmore Girls doing
yeah, I know.
perfume. Have
Yeah,
you
I
watched
know.
that clip?
Yeah, because I'm a big Gilmore Girls fan, and I know that
Never watched it.
Carmen Palladino was
Yes,
on the
she was in the
documentary.
documentary. That's right. She's a huge Sparks fan.
Yeah, yeah, but I've seen that. I've seen the clip. I'm like, oh, I remember that episode.
Yes, but I love the clip. To me, I've watched it many times. In fact, I saw like it has like X number of views, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like 65 of those views for sure. Like I'll just go to it randomly. But they're just in this town square, and Ron's on the keyboard, and Russell's right next to him doing doing his
Delivering
thing.
it both in the moment, in the
Yes.
moment.
And I'm like, that's what these guys have been doing for like 4+ decades.
Yeah.
So they're still doing that, but they're also still growing, which is why Annette is so interesting, because that's part of the growth. And I feel like this is part of the inspiration. They have tried, like, it's such a triumph that Annette was made. And of course, huge congratulations. It got a lot of awards. They got a lot of Caesars, which is the French film award recently. They got several. But they early on in their career, they tried to do something with Jacques Tati. Then Jacques Tati died. They wanted to do My the Psychic Girl. That obviously didn't work. Although, as I said, I still think they want to do it. I really do. Because they never talk like it's totally dead. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, if you ever hear them talk
Always
about
something in the works.
you will never hear them sound like it's never gonna happen. They'll admit it's in development hell, yes, but they don't sound like they're totally giving up on it. And honestly, that's how Hollywood works. Things like that happen.
I read that was like an 8-year project. That's
Right.
I know
Right.
that some films do take that long, but boy, oh boy, oh boy.
No, there is this thing called development hell, where a film project just gets stuck and nothing ever happens with it. But they tried again. And personally, I believe if you really want something in life, sometimes you have to do that. The things that mean the most to you, the director might die, okay? Tim Burton might decide to go do something else, but you keep going, and eventually you will make an amazing, totally weird movie with Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard and a wooden puppet, and it'll be really good. So,
amen to that. Ching, ching.
Amen. Cheers. Well, I was gonna say something else. Oh, another thing I really liked that I appreciated more this time, and I hope you don't mind that I've been comparing it to LA shows, but I just can't help
please.
it.
I want to hear what you think.
Two things. One, I love Ron's delivery on Shopping Mall of Love. I feel like I need to listen to that song more.
So good.
So good.
Oddly autistic and wonderful.
Yep. And I really love him delivering the Suburban Homeboy lines. He's just so good with the deadpan. This morning I was in a Suburban Homeboy kind of mood, so I was listening to awesome. It.
And the audience really loved it. It was fun.
Yes. But I did actually think to myself, no offense, Russell, I thought to myself, gosh, I wish Ron was doing the lyrics on this. By the way, speaking of that, Little Beethoven, we all know that's a great album. But when I got to Little Beethoven in my Sparks journey, I did, of course, appreciate it. But what I find about Little Beethoven is that it grows on you. You know, like, it's a grower. One of the songs you'll be like, yeah, this is pretty good, actually. Rhythm Thief, I like it. I don't know about this one. But then suddenly it starts to get under your skin.
They have such hooks. I mean, that's the thing. Yes. Like, yeah, I think that sometimes unexpectedly I hear the tune and it makes you want to listen. Wait, what's that from again? Okay, I gotta go listen to that again. okay, I really like it now. Wait, I don't like, I do like it. I do. I really like it.
Yes. Yes. I've had that with, I mean, so today I was also listening to Hear No Evil from Gratuitous Sax, which I
Oh, okay.
love. I love that song. But when I first started listening to Gratuitous Sax, I thought it was okay. And then one day I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. I'm addicted to this song. I'm addicted to it. I do. And I actually, when I first started becoming obsessed with Sparks, I wrote this down and I still have this somewhere that like Sparks is like, I might have said this in one of our very first shows that Sparks is a little bit like stinging nettles in a good way. Like, do you know what a stinging nettle is? Okay, like you'll brush up against it and you think that's it, but then you start itching and you're just itching. Sparks is like it's like a stinging nettle, but in a good way. Like you brushed up against Hear No Evil and it's okay, but then you start thinking about it, and then you start thinking about it some more, and then you're like, oh my God, that song is great.
Yeah.
And I love that. So
Yeah.
thanks. And also, I still believe they might be time travelers. You know,
I love that theory because, you know, okay, so I can't wait to talk about the next couple albums that we're going to talk about. And
yes.
I was saying to you that I've actually been kind of spending some time with Big Beat recently.
Yes, yes.
And
a lot of people really like that album. It is a good album.
That, and I can't remember that a couple afterwards. It's just what's interesting to me is that time travel aspect that you feel like you hear these nuggets, you hear these hooks, or you hear these like instrumentations that could have been 15 years later or 30 years later or of the time. And it's pretty cool.
Oh, I still think like there is definitely a song on Sparks Half Nelson that when I hear it, I actually think that my music streaming has gone to a random and we've gone to the present. But nope, nope, it's from 1970. That's right. So yes, my theory my theory is Sparks may be time travelers who've gone back in time and just seeded the timeline with all of their hits. Is it true? I don't know. Could
it's a wibbly thing. Well, I had a wonderful time with you.
Me too.
And a wonderful show. It was a lovely day.
Cheers. Cheers. So what are we going to talk about next? I think propaganda?
Propaganda, baby. Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Me
so
too.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you so much. We'll let you know if we go to Vilnius. You know.
Yes, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you have a wonderful Sparks infused day. Mwah.
Oh wait, one more thing. So someone because you know there's a lot of Sparks fan art out there. Oh, that was actually something I like that Russell said. That it's hard being a Sparks fan sometimes, just like it's hard being Sparks sometimes. But there's a lot of Sparks fan art there, and someone did like Saturday morning adventures with Sparks, and I was like, oh my God, I would watch the hell out of that show. Let me give you some episodes that we're gonna have. Sparks are in a bake-off contest with their famous creme caramel. Russell meets while they're on tour in Antwerp, Russell meets a charming tour guide, and unfortunately she speaks one of the only languages Russell doesn't know. Sparks check into a hotel that turns out to be haunted by the ghost of Liberace, and an amazing new collaboration is formed. I would watch the heck out of that.
That is awesome. Yeah, it is. That's so inspiring too. How fun.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you. Bye.